Hello everyone, welcome back, good evening. I'm tired. No, I'm kind of happy today though. Whatever, what a weird way to start. Today is Monday, we have a new week, probably one of the final weeks of this year. We're not going to really expect too much volatility this week, like I said, although today was a pretty decent day. Decent because we had a good rise in Bitcoin, which I kind of took advantage of to take a little profit, not a big deal. I know, right? Going against the trend and taking profit somehow. That's just how we roll. We hit a high of 90,555 for Bitcoin, and we have since come down to 88,373. Take a while to guess at what time of the day we started dropping. At 10 a.m., that's right. And then we continued a little bit. 3 o'clock, I think, was the biggest drop when we had. So the bigger red candle is at that quarter of the hours from 11 to 3. So we've got some good stuff to talk about tonight. Not good for, I don't know, war, but, you know, good content that we will be discussing. So there's plenty of material. Stay tuned for it. We'll be getting into a little announcement made by Trump today with Pete Hegseth and this other random guy and Marco Rubio. They discussed, you know, adding more stuff to the military, more battleships, whatever it is. We'll get into all of that. We will also be discussing, I'm seeing a lot of Peter Schiff pop up on my timeline, especially now that gold is at an all-time high. The guy's face is just popping up everywhere, and he's dissing everyone in crypto. We'll go review what he has to say about it, the rebuttals that other analysts have and that I have. Some little news going on with Gavin Newsom, and I almost called him Newscum because that's just what Trump calls him, and it's just getting stuck in my mind. It makes me feel like that's his actual name, but it's not. So we'll be getting into that, as well as Polygon no longer being the chain for Polymarket. Polymarket will create their own chain, and we already had previous rumors that they were going to create their own coin, not their old coin. So I don't know why, but we're going to have a token for a prediction market, sure. And rest in peace to Polygon. I wonder if it's crashing today on this news. No, it's slightly green, barely. It's at 10 cents. This is no good either way. Yeah, we're still pretty low. Damn, Polygon dying off right over here. Back in my days, this thing would cost 40 cents on a great day. Nowadays, not so much. Whatever. So, let's get into the technical analysis. Bitcoin, like I said, is at 88,500, we'll call that. Still in its downtrend. I really like how this looks when I did the purchasing over here. I bought at, when did I buy? 85,577. So I bought around over here, the purchase that I made. And it looks like I sold the top, which is pretty perfect. I know, no big deal. This is my long position that I had on Bitcoin. It wasn't a big profit, so I'm not, you know, too happy. I don't know. It's fine. It's profit. We're good. We're still in a downtrend, however. I mentioned no higher than 91,000. I saw Bitcoin's price approaching that. I'm like, yeah, we're about to enter the 10 o'clock hour, and this thing is just not going to continue going higher. I can guarantee that. And I was right, because you get used to the fact, the more you learn about this, 10 a.m. happens to be, for whatever reason, some kind of manipulation. Whatever the trajectory in the morning seems like is heading toward, the opposite of that will happen at 10 a.m. Guaranteed. Or, you know, maybe it impulses it further. But I wasn't going to take my chances. I wasn't going to roll the dice. So I decided to take the profit there either way. And if it was to continue higher, then everything else, like my other alt positions, would continue higher as well. You'll notice I opened an Ethereum short. You'll notice I don't have my Zcash short anymore. We'll talk about that as well. Might as well get into it now. Just my last thoughts on Bitcoin. Price is still trending downward overall. Your pivot level is at 87,000, well, 88,000 really. The lowest point that we hit today was 87,844. So I think we should maintain 88,000 for a while. It's the only support that we truly do have, if you really want to call it. It's a local bottom. So it seems that Bitcoin is comfortable trying to stay above 88,000. Breaking that would take us down to 85,000, which is where I would probably consider a new entry for long. Might not even include a stop loss on it, because it's Bitcoin. Who uses stop losses on Bitcoins? Unless you're shorting, of course. So yeah, decent stuff overall. I do like that. And this is a perfect sell. But when did I sell? 90,052. Yeah, that's a decent price. 85,000 sold at 90,000. That's fine, dude. Yeah, like I said, we're still in a downtrend, so I would expect price to drop to 85,239. What could catalyze that? Maybe bad economic data tomorrow. Yes, tomorrow we will be getting economic data. It is delayed. I don't know if it will be too impactful overall. I think it's PCE that we will also be getting. It doesn't show on the calendar, but people have been talking about it. Yeah, we're getting PCE data. It's been delayed. It was supposed to come out last week or whatever. And it is the Fed's preferred inflation metric, so it's going to be an important one overall. I'm more focused on the GDP, though. I don't know why. I feel like that is... I'm more interested in the GDP. Seems like that's what we would be getting. And yeah, core PCE, this is part of it, I guess. Or this one, dude. It doesn't show which one's more impactful or what the difference is between the two. Quarter over quarter, second, EST. What does this mean? Estimate? Yeah, quarterly reports for PCE, I guess. Sure. That's what we're getting tomorrow. Either way, we'll get the numbers come out. People will report on that, so we'll have a clear understanding of what exactly it is that happened and how it impacts your meme coins. So we'll be reviewing that tomorrow. Tomorrow, yes, I will be streaming. I have the day off. Okay, moving on to Ethereum. I did open a short position like this. It's still open at the time. I saw the prices rising. Same deal, right? I knew Bitcoin was in its downtrend. I see Ethereum is also in its downtrend, and I decided I'm going to go ahead and short. I'm going to go to 15-minute chart so you guys can see what my thought process was over here. I'm just going to shift this over here because I have OCD. So this is where the downtrend line was, right? And also it's not specifically here though. I would have to readjust this, honestly. I'm going to go back to a 4-hour chart. I was just basically dragging that based off of the fact that I knew we were going to rise, but I didn't know what would be the top point to continue drawing whatever downtrend we do currently have. I extended the downtrend line, the pivot, no, oh my gosh, what is this called? The super trend. I extended the super trend line with just a artificial line over here just to kind of help me identify where the downtrend would invalidate. Put a stop loss above that, and obviously whatever high we made in the morning would just be the lower high that we're making in this macro downtrend that we're seeing over here, meaning that I would expect prices to drop a little lower. I put an ambitious take profit. I don't expect this to get hit. If it does, God bless. Or maybe not. I don't know if you guys really want to see Ethereum at 2,850, but we did go on our way down from there. I'll go back to the 15-minute chart, and the trade is still open. I shifted stop loss over to my break-even price because, well, it's either, you know, you go lower as you're expected to do so, or just get me out of the trade and pretend like nothing happened, because if we do approach these levels once again, I think we have a pretty fair chance at breaking whatever downtrend we do have. What we would expect for Bitcoin to do in that case, of course, is the same deal. Rise, try to break this downtrend, and break above the 91,000 level that we have here overall. So we have been following the downtrend line pretty perfectly with the price action, right? This is the downtrend line that comes from our all-time high. So this is the last attempt, I guess, that Bitcoin has. The last barrier that we have to get out of before we can finally breathe and no longer have to worry about any downtrends on Bitcoin. So that's what I would wait to see first. But, you know, for the time being, everything goes as planned. Prices are meant to drop. They're still on a downtrend. Don't expect too much volatility this week. Tomorrow is going to be your most volatile day, I would say. So all eyes on what happens tomorrow with GDP, PCE data. We'll see. If I have time and if I remember at the end of the stream, I'll look at the numbers, what we're expecting, and try to give a little projection as to what the numbers would mean for your meme coins, of course. So we'll get into that later. Yeah, I know price is kind of going up against me. I was making how much was it? About $100 profit. And it retraced back a little bit. I was really tempted to close it at like 90 something dollars. But I ended up closing Zcash instead. Now I think I might regret that. I don't know how Zcash is doing. We'll review that in a sec. But yeah, this one kind of went against me a little bit, but we're still, you know, in profit. I don't have to worry about me losing money in this position at all. And that just gives me peace of mind. I'm like, you know what? My stop loss is at my break-even price. If you got to drop, keep dropping. That's just better for me. And, well, if not, then, yeah, whatever. It's like this trade never happened, which I'm fine with. Because I kind of did the same thing already with Zcash. And I took the profit on Zcash. I might as well go ahead and talk about it now. Just to lock in the gain, of course, and just to say that, yeah, at least, because I did the same thing, by the way. I moved my stop loss on Zcash basically to break even after this current drop over here. And then I second guessed myself and thought, I don't feel like it's dropping as much as it should. Although it should start soon, whatever. But I'll just lock in the profits just in case, right? Because if everything goes up, I would have not made money on anything. And I would have just seen prices, you know, go very much in profit for me and not do anything about it. What are you, a loser? So I decided to take the profit. There's the Zcash trade, all done right there. It was basically more of like a 1-to-1 type play when it comes to risk-reward ratio. And yes, I've seen those numbers before, and it did go against me a little, but overall today was okay drop. I decided to close the position there. Don't want to deal with it anymore. So Zcash is done. Thanks for the free money. Moving on. It is also following this downtrend line that I will adjust to the current high that we hit on Zcash. Did I even talk about Ethereum's prices? I'll talk about it later. Zcash's prices today is at 431. We hit a high of 457. The resistance to the downtrend line where it invalidates, I was looking at 460. So we didn't really break that, and that kind of reinforced, you know, this downtrend that we're currently seeing, and also my position that I entered, meaning that this was still a valid downtrend overall, which should also mean that, yes, we should see $400 maybe soon. I don't sub 400. I really wish we don't have to see that, but it might happen. So pay attention for that. Could drop to 388 on a very good oversold day. Even if that, would that even be oversold? I really don't think so. If you're looking at like previous prices, we've been higher than, you know, the current price, 431. We've been at like 450, 460 in the past, and RSI levels were in the 60s, right? We've dropped basically to this 388 that I'm projecting, and no oversold moment at all during all that. Zcash is pretty volatile, so I think we could actually drop even further. A 20% drop, though, that seems pretty harsh. 336. These are prices we haven't seen at the beginning of the month. It could happen, actually, so I don't know. Maybe I should have kept my trade open. I don't know. I had a really tight stop loss, though, so I just decided to take the profit on it. Who knows? And also, we're expecting some volatility tomorrow, so overall, the economic data has been favorable most of the time. So I think I'm willing to just sit this one out. And I have Ethereum open either way as my, if something drops, I profit from it kind of play. So we'll see how that goes. Solana is at $126.37. Terrible volatility today, but whatever. We talked about the support level from Pivot still being at $116.70. I kind of wish we don't have to see this. So this is the only thing I'm hoping that does not drop. The drop from Bank of Japan fears was lower, was this bad. So now that that is behind us, we don't got to worry about Bank of Japan anymore. All we got to worry is about future rate cuts. Are we getting 1 or 2 rate cuts for next year? That's the big question. And honestly, really, we're debating whether or not we should get 1 or 2 rate cuts next year. First of all, a rate cut is going to happen, so that's fine by me. And I mean, Powell is going to leave. We're probably going to get Hassett in there as the Fed chair. I don't know. Peter Schiff also had his comments on that. Might be good, might be bad. All I know is we are still expecting some good liquidity. Hopefully. There are big events as well that might impact this stuff. Wars that could happen. War with Venezuela. I've heard some talks between Israel and the United States maybe discussing another strike on Iran. I don't know. There could also be the Supreme Court tariff ruling. We'll see how that impacts markets whenever we have to worry about that. I'm not going to get into the subject now. I've talked about it a bit yesterday. So, you know, stuff like that. Gotta wait and see. Okay, Solana still in this downtrend, which invalidates at 132 for now. Keeping itself pretty stable. Not a lot of volatility for a volatile coin like Solana, which is odd. Back to Ethereum here, because I don't feel like I discussed it extensively. Well, I mean, not the current price at least. It's at 3,020, you guys can see that. And we hit a high of 3,076. My stop loss was at 3,100 plus, because that's where the downtrend invalidates. So I was comfortable with shorting it like that. I saw price go completely in my favor toward the downside. So I decided to shift my stop loss over into break even. I'd make four whole whopping dollars. I could probably buy a bag of chips with that. Not too bad. Sui is up 1.47%. That's nothing, dude. For Sui, it's basically dead with this type of volatility. Downtrend is still a thing. This played out perfectly, by the way. Where is this downtrend from? It's from all-time high? No, not really. But we approached it pretty closely. This is from two levels that we have seen. Why is this one here? That's odd. Oh. Look how much that changes just for one candle. We're attempting to kind of break out of this overall long-term downtrend after October 10. Do we even count October 10 as a real thing anymore? I don't know. 50 cents for a Sui, that was just way too excessive. Whatever. I think this one could be ignorable pretty soon. It's looking like a lot of these things are running out of downtrends to break out of, at least in the short term, right? Longer term, yeah, I mean, if we go to like a daily chart, I know, big difference, daily chart. You've got these absurdly long downtrend lines that they're basically ignorable. Yeah, they exist, and come on, it's going to take a long time before we even have to worry about that. We'll be talking about Sui being roughly $3 when we have to worry about this thing. Or aiming at that at least, because we'd be in like the 250 plus, around that range. So, yeah, that's what we got to worry about for now. We're fine. Moving on. Well, the downtrend invalidates the real downtrend at 155. The resistance would be at 160 from there, and then for now, support is at 130. That hasn't changed. This good support level that has been maintained for a fair amount of attempts for now. Not too bad. Moving on to Hyperliquid. $24.86 currently. Still in a downtrend, invalidates 27.60. Not too much to say. If you expect the drop, it's going to be at 21.50. That hasn't changed since yesterday's analysis. Chain length is 12.66. Pretty dead as well. Says it's up 2%. That's fine. Downtrend invalidates at 13.28. That hasn't really changed either. Yeah, I kind of take it back. Everything is kind of in a downtrend still for a very long time. The only big one that is most important is Bitcoin's downtrend. I think once this gets broken, like we break 91,000 plus, it would flip everything into the green first of all in their 4-hour super trends. And then we would easily see a lot of altcoins start rising up higher once again. And all that has to happen is Bitcoin going to, we'll call it 94,000 for a couple of reasons. That's where the second resistance level is. It's going to mean a big rise from here. Maybe this happens tomorrow, by the way, but we don't know. A 5% rise on Bitcoin, that's totally normal. That could send alts 10, 15% up easily. Might spark optimism in once again. People will believe in a Santa rally, and we'll all be happy for Christmas and all that. The only downside to this that I see is we're not going to see a lot of volatility. People are not really going to be trading over the holidays. And I don't know. The good thing is, though, that people would want to see Bitcoin ending the year in the green, and 94,000 would be Bitcoin ending the year in the green, because we started off at 93,000 something. So anything above that, 94,000 plus, would mean that the 4-year cycle is questionably still intact. I don't even know at this point. I'm fine with the year ending red, so that we know for sure that this 4-year cycle mumbo jumbo is done. We don't got to worry about it. The 3 green years, 1 red year every 4 years, that cycle will be broken, and we can look at 2026 with a new lens of optimism where, you know, in the back of our minds, we know a lot of liquidity is coming. We see gold, silver hitting all-time highs. Stock market is on its way up too. It's just inevitable that Bitcoin and crypto will come back for 2026. If that was to be the case, if, you know, this is a cycle breaking type thing, we might even get the super cycle that a lot of people were talking about. We'll reach true euphoria phase. We'll hit an alt season that is well deserved, that we've been waiting for such a long time. You guys call what we got in this past couple of years an alt season? I really don't think so. Yeah, alts did do good. Some of them went pretty crazy. But come on. Like, really. Not a lot hit like these big all-time highs. Only a select few. Maybe that is going to be what the alt seasons are going to be like from now on. Is just a select few great projects making a good old 10x, 100x, whatever, depending on the market cap. We'll see, because the money exists, like I said, so just gotta wait for that to flow into the markets. I'll finish analyzing here. BitTensor, no movement. This is boring. $224. We're stuck at the bottom. Downtrend invalidates at 240 plus. 245, we'll call it. Aptos is up 3.66%. I really want to short this. I'm feeling pretty ready to short this. You just wait till we become overbought once again. Anything close to 166? That was the high that we hit this morning. Decent opportunity for shorting. I should have shorted in the morning. Yeah, should have shorted everything in the morning. Obviously, everything dropped. No, but I gotta wait for another opportunity to do so. So I'm gonna have to wait for this to rise a little bit. If this momentum keeps up, we might see that signal. As long as price, you know, doesn't break above 170, we'll say. Then yeah, should be a great opportunity for shorting. Because Aptos has just been continuously going lower and lower. If we do break 170, we flip the trend over into the green. On the next bottom, wherever that may be, if it's like, we'll say 156. Okay, first of all, I'm talking about something like this, right? Whatever the bottom level is, that would just flip the trend over in the green for us, and your uptrend would look something like this. Easy long, wherever you enter, something like that, and you go with the movement. So it's one of those two projections for Aptos. If we approach this resistance at 170 almost, and once again we are starting to see the beginning of a rejection, then yes, that is your opportunity for shorting. Don't know how well it might do though. Obviously going to use a tighter stop loss to try to get the most out of a risk-reward ratio. Yeah, something like this might be able to do. I think I'd wait for tomorrow's volatility to see how I act on it in the morning, so I'll be awake for that. We'll see. That is all for here. I'm going to go back to Ethereum. Didn't mean to change that. Okay, yeah, that's all for this. Let's go ahead and get into our news. Like I said, we do have some interesting stuff to discuss today. One more thing on the AmFest that I talked about yesterday. Today, I think this was today, Speaker Johnson also was there, by the way. A lot of political figures and people in the conservative movement mainly were there, which we discussed already. Speaker Johnson talked about the upcoming midterm election, saying that if we lose the House majority, the radical left will impeach President Trump. I wonder for what? Maybe for Epstein files? Who knows at this point? But Trump also did finally comment on Epstein files today. He had a special announcement with the three dudes over here that we see, announcing a golden fleet. He walked in a Mar-a-Lago room with Secretary Marco Rubio, Secretary Pete Hegseth, and Navy Secretary John Fallon to unveil the first renderings of the new U.S. Navy vessels As you can see over here, I guess that's what they look like. They're just basically flexing. There's a lot that was discussed. I'm not going to go through all of it. I'll just read through the headlines. The new battleships will carry nuclear-armed cruise missiles that are currently under development. The new battleships are 100 times more powerful than World War II Iowa class. There's never been anything like these ships. Classic. They will inspire fear in America's enemies. The country will be more respected now than ever. Trump threatens defense contractors to cap executive pay, end buybacks, or build plants faster. So if you're not doing your job, you don't get money. I'm a very aesthetic person. I will personally design new battleships with Navy. Interesting. New battleships will have lasers that just wipe out targets, hypersonic missiles, and nuclear cruise missiles. And he threatens to penalize defense contractors for Ford carrier ridiculous cost overruns. Okay. And here was later on they took a Q&A from the reporters over there. They asked him about the Epstein files that were released. Trump actually defended Bill Clinton, since he was the main talking subject on this, with the Epstein photos, because a lot of them, we did cover it on that Friday, it was pretty bad for Bill Clinton, we'll say that. He calls Massey a real lowlife for pushing those releases. That's crazy. I'm going to read this one, because this is what he did say. Trump delivered unexpected remarks defending Bill Clinton's appearance in the Epstein files, while brutally attacking Representative Thomas Massey for demanding the full document releases, claiming that the scandal is being used to deflect from Republican success. Trump said, "I like Bill Clinton. I've always gotten along with him. We respect him. I hate to see photos come out of him. Everybody was friendly with this guy. He was all over Palm Beach. Larry Summers was his best friend. Bill Clinton was a friend, but everybody was." Which is true. I read one of the books from Trump. It's on my channel. Don't take it down, please, YouTube or Trump. They did take down one of the Trump books that I read, I think. I don't remember which one. But yeah, they did mention like, oh yeah, I'd go golfing with Bill Clinton and his wonderful wife Hillary, and we would go golfing at my club at Mar-a-Lago. I don't remember where. It was someplace Florida or maybe LA. Anyways, I threw him out of Mar-a-Lago. I don't like the pictures of Bill Clinton being shown. I don't like the pictures of other people being shown. You probably have pictures of being exposed of other people that innocently met Jeffrey Epstein many years ago. Hey, remember the Stephen Hawking ones? Like, come on, guys. You really think Stephen Hawking was doing anything to those women? But anyway. You probably have pictures... Oh yeah, being exposed of other people that innocently met Jeffrey Epstein many years ago because of guys like Massey, who's a real lowlife, whose polls are down about 9% in Kentucky. Massey is a loser. He works with the Democrats, mainly Ro Khanna. This whole thing with Epstein is a way of trying to deflect from the tremendous success that the Republican Party has, was Trump's comments on all of that. We also talked about the barrels that were seized of, the Venezuelan oil tankers. 1.9 million barrels. Trump says that we are keeping the ships and we're keeping the oil. The reporters asked him, well, what are you going to do with it? I don't know. Maybe we'll sell it. Maybe we'll use it. We'll keep it. I think he is going to keep it to, in the reserves, like it says, to kind of also help reduce prices of, gasoline. That is another talking subject that I'll discuss. So there's that. I've sold a lot of planes. He appoints Marco Rubio special envoy to Greenland. We need it for national security. We have to have it. And the rare earth minerals, or whatever else is there. I don't remember. A lot of Democrats are being caught up in the web of Epstein files, like Larry Summers. He was the head of Harvard, which is true. He resigned, and we covered that. That's pretty funny. After the first release of the Epstein files, he was like, guys, I am in those Epstein files. This is my last day of teaching at the university, so farewell. That was pretty interesting. Literally this. He's now been forced to resign from every board he is on, and he was thrown off the Harvard board. He was at Epstein's Island a lot. I wasn't, said Trump. I never went there, by the way, but a lot of people did go there. Wait, really? I thought Trump did go there. His name was on the flight logs, unless he just used Jeffrey Epstein's plane, Lolita Express or whatever, odd name, to travel different places. Maybe, sure. Epstein's private jet, sure, but Trump claims he's never been to the island, okay. But a lot of people did go there. Okay, that's all it says. Pete Hegseth says Americans will thank Trump for centuries, okay. Trump-class battleship with nukes? Sure, why not? Yep, that's all there is. Who cares about what these guys had to say? So moving on from that, there's a new partnership going on. Elon Musk's XAI is partnering with the Pentagon to expand artificial intelligence arsenal. The Department of War. Let's go. We also have this going on. Elon Musk, quote, retweeted this saying, wow, there is this big scandal going on with Gavin Newsom, caught in a massive federal money laundering scam. Newsom increased ambulance costs by 300%, then requested reimbursements from the federal government, but it was fake. He then paid a different company a fraction of the cost and pocketed the rest, stealing billions. One of the largest and most convoluted schemes in modern history has been discovered during a review of California's medical financial records. Investigators found that under Gavin Newsom's leadership, the Golden State has essentially been funneling taxpayer money from all across America to prop up California's own finances. This is the Democratic nominee, by the way, for 2028. Maybe. Just get AOC instead. It's going to be terrible either way, but they're all bad, dude. All these Democrat nominees, so bad. Whatever. Genesis plant, the Republicans are no better either way. I don't know. They got to find someone good. We'll see. We'll worry about it in 2028. The Genesis plan started in 2022. It revolves around the complex concept of intergovernmental transfers, which in simple terms is when a local hospital or county makes a transfer to the state Medicaid agency. I don't think I'm going to read all this. Yeah, he raised the ambulance prices by 300%. Once the local hospitals made the transfer to the state and the state received the matching funds from the federal government, California then instead paid a private ambulance service which cost only a fraction of the original price, and they pocket the difference. It's kind of their way of stealing. Cool. This is one of the most dishonest frauds against taxpayers ever created. Gavin Newsom stole billions with this fraud. Gavin Newsom reimbursement rates for public ambulance services are up. Wait. What does this mean? Okay, Gavin Newsom reimbursement rates for public ambulance services by up to 500% from $339 to $1,600 per ride and some approvals, prompting local governments or hospitals to transfer those inflated amounts to the state via IGTs. The state then claims the federal matching dollars, typically at a 50% rate, before reimbursing private ambulance providers at the original lower cost, effectively pocketing the surplus federal funds to offset state budget shortfalls. Wow. I bet one of his responses is like, well, we don't get enough federal funding, so we had to do this. That's probably going to be his response. All right. Cool. Good stuff. This is what Grok says about this. The Post accuses California Governor Gavin Newsom of masterminding a Genesis plan since 2022 to defraud taxpayers by inflating ambulance ride costs. And it basically restates the same thing. Interesting. We'll see what the media has to say about that. Grant Cardone, who, by the way, I think he lives there. Or maybe in Florida. I think he lives in Florida. I don't know. He had a house in Florida, a mansion in Florida, and he sold it for, what was it, 40 Bitcoins? Something like that. And he only accepted Bitcoins. That was pretty based. He says that California gas prices are 300% higher than Florida, while Newsom blames Trump for higher prices. Oh, do I have something to tell you, Grant? He might be inflating those too. Maybe not just ambulance prices, but what if it's also maybe gas prices? But how would he get the money from that? I don't know. He's a mastermind at fraud. Well, I'm sure he knows a way. And also, that's just to say that you can't blame Trump for the affordability crisis in California. Maybe it's the own governor, Democrat, by the way, the issue in that state. We'll see. Whatever the people think, they live there, they'll vote. Not my problem. I already have enough problems here with Mark Carney knocking at my door for my money. No, I'm kidding. That's not happening. Forget it. Russia says it will not attack the EU or NATO. They're ready to put it in a legal document. Yeah, shifting gears over to Russia-Ukraine. Russia's liquefied natural gas exports to China hit a new record high in November. Okay. And we also had some peace talks going on also in Mar-a-Lago? No, Florida. I don't know where exactly, but it's in Florida. Special Envoy Steve Witkoff says over the last 3 days in Florida, the Ukrainian delegation held a series of productive and constructive meetings with American and European partners. The Ukrainian delegation included the Secretary of the National Security and Defense Council of Ukraine, Rustem Umerov. Isn't this the guy that got arrested for fraud? Or was it someone else? And the Chief of General Staff of the Armed Forces of Ukraine, Lieutenant General Andriy Natov. Or was it this guy? Dude, I don't know. Their names all look the same. Or sound the same. I don't know. The American delegation included Special Envoy Steve Witkoff, Jared Kushner, and White House staff member Josh Grunbaum. Key national security advisors. Okay, you're just going to name the people who were there. Shared strategic approach between Ukraine, United States, and Europe. A separative constructive meeting was also held in a US-Ukraine format, during which 4 key documents were focused on. Further development of a 20-point plan, not again. Aligning positions on a multilateral security guarantee framework. Aligning positions on a US security guarantee framework for Ukraine. And further development on an economic and prosperity plan. Yeah, I guess they do have to work with the 20-point plan, or it was more than that, but whatever. And also the whole focus on security guarantees from the US. That is what Ukraine really wants out of most of this. To not lose any land and to get security guarantees. Or a $200 billion paycheck, whatever. Particular attention was given to discussing timelines and the sequencing of the next steps. Ukraine remains fully committed to achieving a just and sustainable peace. Russia disagrees. Our shared priority is to stop the killing, ensure guaranteed security, and create conditions for Ukraine's recovery, stability, and long-term prosperity. Peace must be not only a cessation of hostilities, but also a dignified foundation for a stable future. Ukraine highly values the leadership and support of the United States and the continued close coordination with its partners in the next stages of this important work. He also mentioned this over the last 2 days in Florida. So the last post was talking about 3 days. Now we're talking about 2 days. Which one is it? These were posted hours difference from each other, but okay. The Russian Special Envoy Kirill Dmitriev held productive and constructive meetings with the American delegation to advance President Trump's peace plan on Ukraine. Okay, so 3 days ago, well, for the past 3 days, it was with Ukraine and Europe. Over the past 2 days, it was with Russia. So it's like we're dealing with them separately for the same obvious, the same accord, the same end goal, right? To advance Trump's peace plan on Ukraine. The American delegation included Special Envoy Steve Witkoff. Okay, you're just restating that. Russia remains fully committed to achieving peace in Ukraine. Russia highly values the efforts and support of the United States to resolve the Ukrainian conflict and reestablish global security. That's all we got from it. And here's his response. Thank you, peacemakers, for your dedicated and tireless peace work. Despite the well-funded warmonger attacks, oh wow, you have achieved great success on Gaza peace and in life and could have just focused on other things. Did you use Google Translate for this? Blessed are the peacemakers, for they shall be called children of God. Based. That is true. Okay, so seems like they're trying to advance something there. I don't know though. Ukraine says yes on one side, and then on the other side, they're car bombing one of the Russian officials. Top Russian general killed by a car bomb in Moscow. The bombing targeted Lieutenant General Fanil Sarvarov, head of the Operational Training Directorate of the Russian Armed Forces General Staff, and he died from his injuries. He was the third senior Russian military officer to be killed in a bombing this year. And from what I understand, they are blaming the Ukrainians for this one. Interesting. 56 years old. He had taken part in combat operations during the Ossetian-Ingush conflict and the Chechen wars of the 1990s. Well, he was really old then. He was also involved in planning and executing military operations in Syria during year 15-16 and had held his current position since year 16. Okay. Well, rest in peace. Oh, I don't know if he was a bad guy or a good guy, really. Like, this is a general military guy. I'm sure he ordered a lot of people to die too, but I don't know. I'm not going to comment further on it. And on the topic of death, there's a lot of death that has been going on. Did you guys see it was something, the co-founder of Call of Duty Black Ops, or co-creator of it, this man, he, in someplace Europe, had a really, fancy car and went and crashed and he died. And it was filmed, so that was pretty brutal. Yeah, so rest in peace to him. He passed away. There was also the actor from the movie It, the second movie It, the main character kid that was now grown up. The actor that played that passed away from suicide, which also tragic. Who else died? Somebody else died. I forget. No, I'm sure there's millions of people that die, but someone else important. I forget. I'm forgetting. It's fine. But yeah, anyways, just weird side note. Okay. Moving on to the crypto stuff. Remember yesterday how I said Michael Saylor posted the orange dot where he's going to buy more Bitcoin. Hooray. I'm hoping it's $1 million. No, not $1 million, $1 billion. $1 billion. Turns out he bought no Bitcoin for the last week. He posted the orange dot, but he didn't buy. So what are we doing here? He did post this post, but he talked about, we have increased the USD reserve by $748 million and now holds $2.19 billion and 671,000 Bitcoin. So they didn't buy Bitcoin, they just added to the US dollar reserve, which is an odd move. Why would you post the orange dot and then it's the green dots that means you add to the strategic dollar reserve? So what are we doing here? Peter Schiff commented, it seems to me that you are building dollar reserves as you realize you will soon need them. Given rising inflation as the Fed cuts rates and continues quantitative easing, why don't you build gold reserves instead of a US dollar reserves? That is what Tether is doing. Wow, way to call out Tether too. I didn't even read this last part before. Okay, because it's true. Tether is actually one of the company that is buying the most gold. And we're like, why are you not buying the digital gold? Why are you not buying Bitcoin? I don't know, but Tether has been buying a lot of gold. And Peter Schiff knows his stuff. He's saying, why are you adding to a dollar reserve if we know we're getting rate cuts, which should weaken the US dollar? You're eroding purchasing power on purpose. Just buy gold, right? And what I think is that he should be buying Bitcoin. Michael Saylor should be buying Bitcoin. Let's cut him some slack. He has always been buying Bitcoin, but buy more Bitcoin, right? Why are we adding to a US dollar reserve? So, yeah. He does bring up a good point, but I disagree with the gold part. Just buy Bitcoin. Because gold is at all-time highs. What are you going to buy gold at an all-time high? What are you, a retail investor? Anyway. At least we had Trump Media Technology buying more Bitcoin. They acquired 451 Bitcoins for $40.3 million. That would be an average price of 4,300 divided by 451 Bitcoins at an average price of 89,356 approximately. Good, thank you. We also have Tom Lee buying more Ethereum, 98,852 Ethereum last week, bringing the total holdings to 4,066,062 Ethereums worth about $12.42 billion. That is 3.37% of the entire ETH supply. What is 3.37% of infinity? You tell me. But that's good overall. Good for them. We don't got to worry about like Ethereum inflation anymore, I don't think. Especially with the Fusaka upgrade, it made things a lot better. So, yeah. This is what everybody is feeling, and I kind of agree with. We'll go through the post. We waited for an alt season like it was a promise. Years of holding, years of believing, years of saying next cycle will be different. Bitcoin pumped 8.5x from the bottom. 15K. Ethereum pumped 5.5x from the bottom of $900. We're seeing gold and silver hitting new all-time highs. And us, well, we stayed and hoped. Every dip was accumulation, every delay was just patience. But here we are, another year end, another reset. Still waiting, no euphoria, no rotation, no moment where alts finally got their turn. And that's kind of what I discussed earlier in the technical analysis. Conviction right now is tiring and frustrating, and this community is asking the same question. Did we wait too long, or was the promise never real? To be honest, this was the worst fourth quarter in the last 7 years, which I do have this post to talk about that. Maybe this is when the 4-year structure breaks and we see a massive altcoin rally next year in the first and second quarter. I don't know, dude. I'm also seeing a lot of people calling for the second quarter to be very bearish for whatever reason. They're expecting Bitcoin at like 50,000 or something crazy like that. I don't think that's going to happen. This is our last line of hope, but it also aligns with data and facts like quantitative tightening has ended, soft quantitative easing has started. We're saying soft because it wasn't officially announced by the Fed yet, although they're doing little buybacks here and there. We're getting more rate cuts in 2026, but honestly, nobody knows at this point because the market has detached from stocks, gold, and every other asset since the October 10th crash, which I agree with. Ever since October 10, there's like this huge reset and everything is just so different right now. There's no bullish news that can move the market. What is it? Okay. No bullish news can make the market, doesn't matter how bullish it is, can move the market, I think is what he meant to say. We have the best fundamentals I have ever seen in the history of crypto, but the charts are not acting like it because it's being manipulated heavily. We'll talk about manipulation later too. So now either crypto will pump and catch up with stocks and gold in the first quarter as the algorithms will reset, or stocks will dump hard, catch up with crypto. One of this is definitely happening. What do you think? Will crypto catch up or will stocks dump to where crypto levels are? That's a good question. I still think the money exists. The liquidity is at all-time highs. It's going to flow into crypto and crypto will catch up. That's what I think. The fact that everything is going to crash and drop, for what? Why? Bubble? That's not good enough. Not good enough. Oh my gosh, not good enough of an excuse. You're also going to tell me that everything is AI. Everything is not AI. You know, everything else will survive. It's just AI stocks that will crash if that is to be the case, if there is a bubble. Recession? I don't think so. Like, we're seeing inflation on the way down a little bit. Job markets are kind of suffering. We're going to get some rate cuts. It's looking like we're going to get 2. I wouldn't mind just 1, but markets want to be greedy. We're looking for 2 rate cuts for next year. We're getting Fed Chair Powell leaving. We're getting probably Kevin Hassett pro rate cut. Probably going to cut rates even harder. We'll see. So there's that. There's also this article that came out that just kind of correlates to what we were discussing. The data shows that the S&P 500 usually rises in the last week of December and in the first 2 business days of January. I'm translating this on the fly. I'm testing myself. If the pattern repeats itself, it could give some breathing room to Bitcoin, who right now is on its way for its worst fourth quarter since 2022. I don't know, the last post said 7 years. Sure. It is a pretty bad quarter overall, so yeah. Ignore this. I don't agree with any of that, but massive expiry on December 26th because of probably options contract expiry. So we could get some more volatility on the 26th, which is Friday. That's the only other volatile day that I could expect from markets, although it's literally the day after Christmas. Is anybody even going to do anything? Maybe some last minute trading. I don't know. Because yeah, 24th is going to be low volatility. 25th, no volatility. 26th, contracts expiring, sure. We could probably see something happening there. When it comes to the decoupling of Bitcoin, Peter Schiff also made some comments on this, saying, I don't believe Bitcoin has decoupled from other risk assets. Okay, pal. So he's just saying that Bitcoin is trash on its own. It just doesn't rally as much when they rise, and it declines much more when they fall. Which should be obvious by now is that it is not digital gold. If gold goes way up, there's no reason to expect Bitcoin to follow. I feel like there is a reason, and I feel like it eventually will catch up. Some people reply saying, Bitcoin played us all for fools this year. Most bulls expected much higher prices. Certainly something else is responsive for this price action. October's historic liquidation may have been just that, which is true. It's taken 6 weeks to recover with a bottom forming. I'm bullish on 2026. And Peter Schiff replies to that, saying that the idea that a bottom is forming is more wishful thinking than an actual technical analysis. It's more likely the market is consolidating as it gets ready for the next leg down. He actually thinks this will go lower. We'll talk about how low he actually expects this. Good, Ethereum's on its way down. Me personally, 80,000 obvious support, and then 74,000 would be what we saw in April. Your next support, yeah, you can see some slowdowns on the way there. But my ultimate worst case scenario is 66,000. And for Bitcoin to drop from where we are over here down to 66,000, I don't know. I feel like we've got a lot of holders now and people are not going to drop this thing another 25% from where we are right now. We are in a downtrend. It could happen, but you would have to expect 2026 to be a bad year. And that's what I'm basing this off of, right? A worst case scenario, if 2026 is indeed a bad year and this thing is just meant to drop further lower, I would expect 66,000 to be the bottom. In other terms, people are expecting the 80,000 to be the bottom, and that 2026 is expected to be a great year. We'll rise back above 100,000, which we're not too far off from doing, by the way. We're at this like very, very close level of testing this downtrend line, which upon breaking this could point things toward a higher price, hopefully. Maybe even take us to 100,000. So there's a bull case for this too. It's odd, it's weird, I understand, but yeah. Peter Schiff obviously doesn't want Bitcoin to rise. He's more pro gold, so there you go. More on this decoupling thing. Well, the correlation between all these assets. Gold is at a new all-time high. Silver is at a new all-time high. SP 500 near an all-time high. Nasdaq is near an all-time high. Dow Jones made a new all-time high. Meanwhile, Bitcoin is down 28% from its peak, having the worst fourth quarter in the last 7 years. Okay, there you go again. Which one is it? 2022? Or what's 2025 minus 7? 2018? What is the worst fourth quarter? We don't have any negative news, no FUD, no scandal. There's no explanation for this except pure market manipulation. The good news is that the crypto market structure bill will get passed in January, which we have extensively discussed, which can hopefully stop a lot of this manipulation in the market, and we will see Bitcoin catch up with stocks and pump to 110k plus. I kind of agree. I do kind of agree. That's our little hope, is that we stop with this, whatever manipulation is going, because clearly something is going on. It's clear. Don't know what. There's no bad news. Everything is better than ever, and we're just down over here. But honestly, if you do zoom out, this doesn't look like that bad. This could even be still considered an uptrend. There, that's the hopium you guys can have for it. But yeah, the 10 a.m. manipulation continues. Didn't mean to do that. Bitcoin dropped 2,500 in the morning, liquidating $82 million worth of longs in the last 4 hours. $60 billion wiped out of the crypto market. US stocks have added $465 billion today and are pumping close to new all-time highs. People want Gary Gensler back because he actually prevented market manipulation in most cases, is what a lot of people argue. So that seems to be the main narrative for bulls. End the market manipulation by January with that crypto market structure bill, and we should be good. Catch up with a lot of stocks and gold and silver. A lot of other metals were also hitting all-time highs. I think palladium, platinum, something. I'll look it up later. I'll look at all the other commodities at the end of the stream, if I remember. I also said I was going to talk about something at the end of the stream, and I already forgot about what it was. Oh, the numbers of the economic data. Yeah, I'll look into that. I should write this stuff down. I'm going to do that right now. Hold on. I'm running out of space on this paper. I'm going to use the other side. Enjoy this paper ASMR. Talk about Oh, now the pen doesn't work. Unless it doesn't work on this paper. No, it works. PCE and GDP numbers. Great. And also, what did I even just say? Oh yeah, commodities. All-time high charts. We'll review those later at the end of the stream. Just making sure I don't forget. More comments from Peter Schiff. Like I said, this guy's just been trashing us extensively. He's saying it's not often that gold rises over $100 in a single day. Wow, humble brag. But $100 a day rallies are going to become commonplace as this bull market matures. He thinks this is going to keep on going. I don't think so. Maybe back in 1990, never, maybe. When did we ever see gold even make $100 a day type price movements? Is there any way to verify that? I guess I could ask AI, but I really don't want to. But yeah, I mean, we are seeing the exponential growth, at least, right? You're going to call these $100 a day movements? Not really, right? It's been a slow rise until lately. It just gets stronger and stronger, and yes, I'll admit it, gold has been rising pretty strong. This is a new all-time high, by the way, at 4,497 was what we hit, almost 4,500. Great psychological level. But the issue is, how much longer are we going to keep this up? $100 a day, and he's saying that this is just going to become the norm. Soon gold will notch its first $200 a day move. That's pretty crazy. Do not overlook the significance of this warning and what it portends for the US economy. I think at some point, this is just going to mean that we're going to have to be adding billions or hundreds of billions of dollars a day, or maybe even $1 trillion a day at this point, if you're expecting a $200 a day move at an all-time high. Am I wrong for thinking that? I think that's kind of what we're doing here. We had a 30 trillion market cap. What are we at now? 31 trillion. Where did this $1 trillion even come from? Don't know. Could it have been added to Bitcoin? Yes, absolutely. Would it change the market cap of Bitcoin? Yeah. I could do the math for you right now. If that $1 trillion that we saw move into gold in these past couple 2-3 days, if that went into Bitcoin instead, we have 19,960,000 Bitcoins in circulation. If, no, I'm doing this math backwards. If the market cap goes from 1.7 trillion to 2.7 trillion, so we'll just replace this with 2,760,014,236,411 divided by the supply. Bitcoin's price would easily go to 138,000, and that would be an all-time high. So the money exists. It's just not going into Bitcoin. People are just buying gold. Why? Do not overlook the significance. Yeah, okay, I read that. Okay, Peter Schiff. And he's very bullish on this still. And he put out another poll just to kind of poop on us all. He says, gold just broke above 4,400 for the first time ever. Now that gold has finally broken out of its recent consolidation, the race to $5,000 is on. What do you think is going to happen first? Will gold hit 5,000? Will silver hit 100? It's at $69 or $70 by now. Or will Bitcoin hit 50,000? He's expecting Bitcoin to drop lower to 50,000. And it's like, dude, what are these polls at this point, man? At least say Bitcoin 100,000 and you'd have a decent contest or a race between this. Well, Bitcoin 50,000 is not going to happen, I'll guarantee you that. I think silver has a better chance of hitting $100. At the rate it's been rising, it 2x'd its price from $35 to almost $70 by now. It's easy that same amount of money can just go into silver. People are, I don't know, I feel like there's going to be some sort of exhaustion of people buying gold. And for gold to hit $5,000, I don't know how I'm going to do the math, but how much more $1 trillion need to be added to gold's market cap for us to see those numbers? I guess I could try to divide what is the current amount of ounces or whatever units we use in gold. It's 31 trillion 442. Is that it? 31 trillion, 442 billion, million, thousand, zero, hundreds. Yes. Divided by the price of 4,522. Is that the actual price? I already forgot what I read. Price of gold, please. 4,495. You are lying to me. Why does this say 4,522? We did not even hit that. We hit 4,497. We'll just say it's 4,500, okay? So there's this amount of gold in the world. 6,987,000. No, 6,987,000,111. 111.11111. I like all these ones. If gold was to hit 5,000 then, so I just multiply this by 5,000, gold's market cap would have to be 35 trillion almost. 34.935 trillion. We're at 31.42, so 31,442. Is this trillion, billion, million, thousand? Yes. So we would need to add, yeah, $3.5 trillion to gold's market cap. Hey, at this rate, I mean, we have seen gold's market cap at, what was it, 24 trillion, I think, not too long ago, at these recent bottoms over here. It's definitely doable, but where's this money coming from, and why is it not going into Bitcoin? You know what $3 trillion, $3.5 trillion will do to Bitcoin's price? If we just add this to the 1,760,000,000, is that trillion? 760 billion, million, thousand. Yes, it's too many zeros to count, so I apologize. This would be the total market cap of Bitcoin divided by how many coins do we have again in circulation? I'm just giving you these random numbers. They're not random, they make sense, okay? But right now they seem random because I'm calculating. 19,960,000. Is that right? No, that's billion. 19,960,000, yes. That would mean Bitcoin's price would be $263,000 per Bitcoin. The money is there and it's just not going into Bitcoin. That's not happening. Silver has a higher chance of hitting $100. People actually think gold will hit 5,000 first. And for some reason, people are actually voting for Bitcoin to hit 50,000. That means that we're losing money on Bitcoin. How much would we even have to lose? I'm done doing math. You guys can do the math. I've shown you how to do it. I don't think that's going to happen, though, honestly. For Bitcoin to be losing that much amount of money, crazy. The one thing we know for sure when it comes to picking the next Fed chairman is that Trump will pick the guy most committed to creating inflation, to prop up asset prices, monetize exploding deficits, and keep the air from coming out of the bubble economy until he leaves office. Pretty bold claim here as well. What do we think? He will keep the air. Okay. Yeah, so maybe that does happen, maybe. Trump really wants the economy to do good. So I think he'll do it responsibly. I know he is exaggerating with the calls, but that's just to pressure some form of a rate cut out of Jerome Powell. That's kind of what we saw in this past year. So yeah. JP Morgan, 4.5 trillion assets under management, dollars in assets under management, by the way. They're exploring offering crypto trading services for institutional clients. Is this a good thing or a bad thing? Both. Brings in the volume, but you import the Wall Street, you become the Wall Street. I think they were already far too much imported at this point, so we are the Wall Street. No escaping, even if JP Morgan comes in with their $4.5 trillion in assets under management. We'll see. It's good overall, though. This is money that could get added to the market. Could be the catalyst that we need. Hyperliquid sets strict insider trading rules. Hyperliquid Labs says that staff are banned from hype derivatives trading with zero tolerance for insider trading. There was one case where an address belonged to a former employee who left in the first quarter of 2024. I don't know what exactly happened with it, but good, I guess. Good for Hyperliquid. Another good reason to own it. And there's word on the street that Polymarket is planning on dropping Polygon. Moving on to the Polychain news that I have coming up here. There was this post that came out over here. saying Poly Markets Mustafa P0 Poly dropped some big claims about what's next for the platform. Here's what matters most. Polymarket is planning to move off Polygon. They're not leaving Ethereum, but they plan to launch their own layer 2 called Poly. Poly is priority number 1, launching that. And the token obviously will come with that. Polymarket plans to ditch all third-party providers, so Gold Sky, Alchemy, etc. All these guys are terrible. We're going to be migrating ASAP is what they said. 5-minute markets are coming very soon, reportedly as early as next week. What does that mean? 5-minute markets? Germany and a few other countries that still aren't banned in the terms of service got geo-blocked. What? Oh, okay, so they banned some more countries. You can't use Polymarket in some countries. New chain, removing subgraphs, multiple redundancies, etc. A few thoughts on what will happen in the next tweet. Not reading all that. Whether confirmed or not, I'm not surprised by the news. I've heard from a successful venture capital that the current model of the chains giving grants to attract products is flawed. This is an example. Eventually, all the successful apps will spin up their own chain to accrue the network effect themselves and build enterprise value for shareholders, especially now that building tech is becoming easier than it ever has. The cost of switching keeps going down by the day. With grants, chains are virtually subsidizing tenants that are ultimately incentivized to become landlords. I have no idea what I just read. But this is what's important. Polychain is coming. Polymarket launched on Polygon because at the time it was the fast and cheap L1 chain. But cryptotech has improved a lot since then. The quote says that they will go to a new chain, and I expect they will build their own. They can fork an existing solution, or build something entirely customized from scratch. It will allow them to eliminate the issues that have been happening due to their fast growth. Right now, they are also completely subsidizing every user's gas costs. Polygon is cheap, but it's still a substantial expense. I don't think they will launch on Solana or Base, as both of them are working with Kalshi in some way, which... So is Binance, by the way. Kalshi prediction market now supports BNB, deposits and withdrawals. Keep building. No, but Kalshi will actually release their own thing with Solana or Base blockchain, apparently. There's also no need. Polymarket is crypto native, and their team has the necessary skills and experience to do it in-house, unlike Kalshi. Other chains, besides those who do not have the adoption or tech required. BNB clearly wants to build their own prediction market. It would be a weird fit for the Polymarket culture. A custom-built chain will provide a faster, more responsive user experience, and they will retain more of the value they are generating. Launching their own chain will also give a great utility to the upcoming Poly token as a gas token or secure the network via staking. Polymarket has such a strong brand value that getting centralized exchange integrations and things such as bridges and dexes to integrate them will be no problem. Lastly, Layer 1 still carry a valuation premium, so them having their own chain would result in a higher token value. Can't wait to bridge to Polychain. Okay. Yeah, they are migrating to a new chain. Cool, good stuff. That's all the news I had for today. What are we doing with Bitcoin? We're dropping 88,000. Are we making money on Ethereum? We are $80. Okay. If this hits like $100 profit, I might just take it right there. I've been risking $50 per trade, by the way, so that's a 1-to-2 risk-reward ratio. It's fine, I'll take it. I had the chance of seeing that there, but I don't want to be exposed to tomorrow's volatility, so I'll just stay out of it. If it goes to the downside, well, I missed it. Oh well. Hey, if I find another good potential entry, I might just go ahead and do it, but for now, no. And Zcash is still on its way down, which means, yes, I would have probably made more money here, but whatever. I already decided to lock in the profits. Any further locking in of profits will be done on Ethereum. Great. End of the stream, I mentioned we were going to review the commodities. So we already looked at gold and talked about it extensively. I saw oil kind of rebounding a little bit after, you know, the seizing of Venezuelan oil tankers. We were dropping because Trump really wanted gasoline prices to hit like low prices, of course. But then, you know, this Venezuela situation might keep gold prices up. So yeah, that was a great opportunity for entry. I don't think, did I just say gold? I meant oil. Oil is it's good overall. It's down year to date, of course, because of Trump, the drill baby drill thing, getting prices as low as possible. Basically finished the conflict in the Middle East, although there's a possibility that it might arise again. Who knows? So that's why oil has been on its way down. Dude, I gotta stop saying that. We also know that silver is at an all-time high. Silver, heck yes. Go to this chart. Yeah, it's an all-time high, $69.99. Just call it $70 at this point. Congratulations to Robert Kiyosaki. He called this out pretty perfectly, and we are bang on the dead end of the year, almost 2 weeks before the end of the year. So, yep, congratulations. That is $70 an ounce. Is it by ounce? I'm sure it is. Another thing that I said is Palladium, XPD, USD, Palladium. And I have a Capital Com one. We'll use Owanda. Yep, that is an all-time high as well for this. If I'm not mistaken, we use this for something with like cars, vehicles, something like that. Like car parts or something, and medical equipment, I think. I don't remember. And also platinum. What is platinum? Platinum, just give me the thing. It's XPT, obviously. Yeah, that is also an all-time high, 2,189. Crazy. And Bitcoin is just not having an all-time high. Like, what are we doing here? What is this price action? What do you call this? Look at us, just trying to buy Bitcoin all this time when you could have just bought whatever the heck this abomination is. And you would have made a decent return. I don't think that's too much, though. It looks like a 2x. From being worth $1,000 to now being worth 2,000. All right, well, congratulations either way if you were in this. Enjoy the gains. Bitcoin is just down over here. Dude, it's only a matter of time, I feel like. This has to catch up somehow. Okay, good overall. Let me trying to see what is the uptrends looking like. This is not valid. It's super long. This was kind of broken, and that's why I got liquidated with that wick over here, unless we kind of ignore this and we use that instead. But from what point? That already conflicts, that already kind of conflicts. Would this even count? Or what if we just use, like, well, delete this first of all. What if we use this specifically, like August 5th low of 2024? Maybe that's what we have for now. I don't like what I see. It's odd right now. Something is different with Bitcoin, so it's up to your judgment. Okay. Yeah, that is all for the stream tonight. Okay. Oh no, that is not all. We're supposed to talk about the numbers. All right, what do we got? So, previously, the GDP. This is per quarter, right? So this is for the third quarter. This is so delayed then. Oh my. So we previously had a 3.8% growth. We're expecting growth to diminish a little bit by 3.2%. Okay, and then the PCE numbers. I'm assuming it's this one. We had 2.6 before. This is by quarter, like I said. 2.6, we're expecting 2.9, so we're expecting inflation actually to rise. If inflation is not on the rise, so if the number comes below 2.9%, that would be bullish for markets. If it comes at 3% or higher, no good. We're gonna get a bad crash. I don't think that's gonna happen though. Like I said, we did look at CPI data, was it? Some other inflation data we got last week, and that was good. Inflation was surprisingly on the low, and even Trump posted about it. I want to find it. Trump posted about this over here. Let me try to find Peace President. Here it is. Inflation drops to 2.7%, defying expectations. Against all odds, he did it. So yeah, I feel like it's not going to be too bad. That's what to expect for tomorrow. Okay, now the stream is over. Thanks so much for watching. Thanks for tuning in. Hope you enjoyed. Thanks for subscribing, and I will see you guys tomorrow. Have the day off, so we'll be able to cover all this stuff with the economic data in more detail, and anything else that happens. I have... No, that is all. Okay. Alright. Oh, I do have to upload a video. I will upload this right after. So, new Spanish video coming out in a couple hours. Less than that. So, stay tuned. Alright, guys. Thanks for watching. Have a good rest of your evening.